Okay, so this story from Burning Sea 2015 is about Rick's bus. And I'm just going to call him Rick because I don't want to out anybody who's involved in my stories. From particularly Burning Sea because I don't think anyone would want to be named among that crowd. So when I was at Burning Sea, there was a bus. It was a Toyota Coaster, like a 2009 model. And it was olive green, a very ugly colour. Had a number plate on it. Had kind of run down interior, but still in pretty cool working condition. And it caught my eye and I thought, that's an interesting looking vehicle. And then that became a delusion of mine, that I didn't really understand how linked I was to this bus until it was too late. And this sounds ridiculous right now, but listen. So yeah, Burning Sea, I spent the first night smoking marijuana and taking MDMA. I spent the second night taking MDMA during the day in the morning. And then that night I took LSD, about at least 10 drops of acid. At least. There's probably many more because it was out of a vial. And I smoked some mysterious substances as well. I took mushrooms. I stayed awake for 5 days straight. Maybe had a little nap. But it wasn't a nap, you know. And yeah, so maybe on the third day of my trip, I seen the bus and I'm like, wait a second, he stole that from me. He stole that bus from me. That's my bus. And somehow I got it in my head because of the attachment I made previously that it was my bus. So I started circling the bus and I went inside the door and I seen the bed in the back, and then Rick is like, get the fuck out of my bus. Who are you? And I'm like, oh shit, this is my bus. And he's like, what are you talking about? Fast forward a day later, he's sitting in his bus on the seat. This guy's like a dreadlock guy, blonde dreadlocks. And he's with a girl. Well, not yet. He's swiping on Tinder and he gets a girl, and he gets a girl over to his bus, and I rock up and I'm chilling with these guys, and there's a little ukulele with 4 strings and a little guukulele, which is a 6-string guitar, but a 6-string ukulele, half guitar, half ukulele. And I turned these guitars and ukuleles around, and there was a chord sheet printed on the back, like G, C, D, and A, or A minor. On both of them, they had the exact same chord sheet. It was 4 to 8 chords. I can't remember how many exactly. And they had a bong, so I'm like, hey, can I have a hit of that? So I smoked the bong. And then he's like, have another one. And then I'm like, okay. I smoked another one. I smoked about 3 of them. And then I pretended to get crazier than I was to kind of convince him that I was really fucked up, because I don't know why. I was just in a joking mood, and I've done this my whole life. I pretend to be someone I'm not. Well, even though I was completely insane. And the next day is when I'm coming up and I'm like, I find the bus. And something's different about it. It's got no number plate on the back. The rims are a different color. They're instead of being plastic or something, or hubcaps or something, they are refined titanium in this cool pattern. Inside the bus, there's like subwoofers and stuff that I didn't notice before. They were probably there, but they were playing music. And in the front seat, there's a radio with a timer on it, and the timer's gone super slow, climbing and climbing and climbing, and it's in the thousands. And then the next day, this is the final time I've seen the bus. It's around a fire in the middle of nowhere. It's just parked outside a fire, and there's one guy sitting there. And I go up to him. I know this guy from earlier in the festival, and he was a bit of a shady motherfucker. And I said, "This is my bus. What are you doing in it?" He's like, "No, this isn't your bus, is it?" I'm like, "Yeah, it is." He's like, "Oh, okay." And he gave me the key. So I'm like, "Okay." And I opened the door and I went in. And then he's like, "You're going to chuck on a song?" So I plugged in the iPhone. And it was like an iPhone 6 or an iPhone... Yeah, it would have been an iPhone 6S or something. And then I'm like, "Oh man, is this the iPhone 12? This is futuristic." He's like, "What are you talking about?" And then I'm like, "Okay." And I look at the front seat, and instead of the timer moving really slow, it's going like thousands of seconds per second. No shit. And it's just like flying up. The numbers and then the numbers turn into like an alien language. And then I'm sitting out in the fire, and I've got Rick rocks up, and he's like, "Is this yours?" And he gives me a spanner. And then I look at the spanner, and I'm bashing it against my hand, my left hand into my right hand, and I'm walking around the fire, and just shutting off the water. I end up throwing the spanner into the fire. And then I've got this delusion of like, this is going to burn for an eternity because this is the central fire of the earth. And this is where it all happens, and I might have made a primordial mistake. Pardon me. And then I see the guy that gave me permission to enter the bus and gave me the key, and he's sitting there with someone behind his back talking to him. And at first I thought this was like a demon, but now I think it was my spirit guide, which I don't know. Yeah, but that was bizarre. Anyway, I ended up staying 2 days after the festival not because I was volunteering, but I was there for the whole pack down. I was there till nothing was left but lost and found. And there was 2 people left with me, and one of them gave me a crystal necklace, and this other guy that kind of had his eye on me the whole festival, he was like keeping an eye out for me, I guess. And he later said that he had a mission from the universe when I added him on Facebook like a year later. But he saved my life, and I would have ended up in Wollongong Mental Asylum if which is in like New South Wales, if I had have gone north, because my plan for leaving the burning sea was to not come back to Victoria and live up north, just backpacking until I find a spot with like $200 to my name. And I'd already said goodbye to my mother, told her I love her. She cried, said goodbye to all my friends and stuff. So I was left alone at the festival because I had like 20-something friends come with me from Melbourne, and I was left alone at the festival, which is, I still think about that. They should have like restrained me and put me in the back of the van. Yeah, I still think about that one. Weird. But this guy saved my life, and he drove me from Burning Sea in Tom State Forest to Melbourne, and just such uncanny stuff happened on the drive back. It was like something out of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Like when we entered the city, there's like this yellow spiral on the side of the road, and all the yellow taxis were going down that way, and then there was a red kind of art piece on the right hand side, and all the cars that were going into the red one were red. And then he said at that exact moment, I was like hallucinating that or whatever. He goes, I don't know what's happened in your head, Kale, but I've lost my shit before. And it's just funny moments. 2 days later, I was admitted to a psychiatric unit. Yeah. So, yeah, crazy journey. Lots more to tell.